It was crazy, entertaining work at that particular time. So I said, you know what? I like this.
Shakur moved so well. He won every round, and he was just a step ahead with quickness and just with, just the plan himself. Great plan coming in, and he did well. Congratulations to him.
He won all the rounds? Is that what you're saying? He won all 12 rounds?
Well, maybe he lost one, but he won the majority of rounds.
At what time did you realize that this was just going to be Shakur taking over the whole fight?
After the fourth round.
Just made Teofimo look like a novice. I mean, that's how good he is. 120, 109, 108. I mean, just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Is that what you expected from Shakur? No?
I mean, listen, I expected an incredible performance, but I didn't expect it to be completely one-sided. I mean, he won every round, in my opinion. It like the golfing levels was for...
Floyd Mayweather just called this the fight of the year, and after watching Shakur, Stevenson absolutely demolished Teofimo Lopez for 12 straight rounds. It's impossible to argue with him. This wasn't just a victory. This was a complete and utter masterclass that left boxing legends speechless and had Eddie Hearn admitting he'd never seen anything like it. We're talking about a performance so dominant that Lopez only won a single round on all 3 scorecards. 1 round out of 12. And now the entire boxing world is scrambling to figure out what this means for the future of the sport. Because what Stevenson did last night changed everything.
My brother Shakur spanked his ass 12 rounds like I told him he would. You know what I'm saying? I'm proud of my brother, man. He did his thing.
Here's what nobody saw coming. Even the experts who picked Stevenson to win were left stunned by how one-sided this beatdown became. Eddie Hearn, who's seen thousands of fights, went on record saying he knew Stevenson would probably win, but he was genuinely shocked by the level of domination. This is a guy who promotes some of the biggest names in boxing, who's watched Anthony Joshua, Canelo Alvarez, and every major star you can think of. And he's saying Shakur's performance left him almost in disbelief. That's not hyperbole. That's a seasoned promoter admitting he witnessed something special. The scorecards told the story: 119-108, 119-108, 119-108. Unanimous, brutal, complete.
All the rounds? Is that what you're saying? He won all 12 rounds?
Well, maybe he lost one, but he won the majority of rounds.
At what time did you realize that this was just going to be Shakur taking over the whole fight?
After the fourth round.
After the fourth round?
Yeah.
Teofimo, it seems like he couldn't just get it going. Like, he just tried differently going up and down. The counters were getting him.
Yeah.
What could he done differently tonight?
I don't know, it's difficult to box against a great mover like that. And, he tried, definitely tried. His dad was emotional, he wanted him to do better, but, this is boxing.
But here's where it gets absolutely wild. Daniel Jacobs, the former world champion who was openly rooting for Lopez going into this fight, completely flipped his opinion mid-fight. Jacobs wanted Teofimo to win. He was in Lopez's corner emotionally. But by the end of the night, he was praising Stevenson's performance as exceptional and admitting it was impossible not to respect what he just witnessed. Think about that for a second. A guy who wanted your opponent to win is now singing your praises on live television. That's the kind of performance that converts doubters in real time. Jacobs even broke down what went wrong for Lopez, pointing out that Teofimo kept walking straight forward instead of cutting off the ring and varying his angles. Classic mistakes against a technical boxer like Stevenson.
I mean, listen, I expected an incredible performance, but I didn't expect it to be completely one-sided. I mean, he won every round, in my opinion. It like the golfing levels was phenomenal. And I said to Bud, like, going into 12, he could do 40 rounds, Shakur. Like, never out of control, footwork, timing, shot selection. I actually think he could have stopped Teofimo.
And get this, Ryan Garcia called it from round 1. While everyone else was still trying to figure out how the fight would unfold, Garcia tweeted that Shakur was going to win pretty easy if Teo didn't change his approach immediately. Garcia saw what was happening before the commentators, before the crowd, before most of the boxing world caught on. By the time the final bell rang, Garcia was posting congratulations to Stevenson for a great performance. Bruce Carrington jumped on social media too, highlighting how Stevenson's movement and counters made it look effortless. When active fighters are praising your technique while the fight is still happening, you know you're doing something extraordinary.
Teofimo looked like frustrated, just obviously he was busted up to the face. He's a phenomenal fighter, 4-division world champion.
Now listen to this part, because this is where the real praise starts rolling in. Andre Ward, one of the greatest technical boxers of the modern era, broke down exactly what makes Stevenson so special as a fighter. Ward highlighted Stevenson's movement, his adaptability, and his tactical creativity. But here's the kicker: Ward emphasized that Stevenson's ability to adjust mid-fight and control range sets him apart from almost every other fighter in his generation. Ward said Stevenson's boxing intelligence and athleticism allow him to paint any picture he wants once the bell rings. That's a rare trait at the elite level. Ward wasn't just praising the result. He was praising the execution, the process, the chess match that Stevenson played to perfection for 36 minutes straight.
Amazing fight. Teofimo is my guy, but I've always been a fan of Shakur. And I think that Shakur put on a clinic tonight. Least amount of risk. Been able to put his skill set into fruition all night. The jab was leading. You can tell the difference in skill set, and that was the difference to me that made the fight. It wasn't about grit, it wasn't about heart, it was about...
Coach Wally Moses was practically glowing when he talked about his fighter's performance afterward. Moses called this a legacy-building victory that solidifies Stevenson's standing in boxing forever. And he's right. Winning another title at 140 pounds is a massive milestone that showcases not just Stevenson's skill, but his discipline and dedication to perfecting his craft. Moses broke down the strategic execution, noting how Stevenson controlled the ring from the opening bell and systematically neutralized every single one of Lopez's strengths. This wasn't lucky. This wasn't a fluke. This was a calculated dismantling by a fighter who had studied every second of tape and prepared for every possible scenario.
And Shakur displayed that tonight, so...
You said Teofimo is your guy. What did he need to change to turn this into more success than he had tonight?
For who?
For Teofimo.
Hey, yo, sometimes you just gotta grab your nuts and you just gotta put balls to the wall, unfortunately. But that's just what it is. And sometimes when you think you can keep up with a boxer that's superior to you, you want to try to go with the motion rather than going with what can potentially get you. Because boxing is, you can be losing every round, and then the last round you get a lucky or a really confident shot that can knock somebody out.
But wait, it gets even better. Stevenson himself was crystal clear about what happened in that ring. He said he executed his game plan perfectly and showcased the pure art of boxing by landing clean shots while taking virtually no damage in return. Think about that for a second. In a 12-round world title fight against a former undisputed champion, Stevenson barely got touched. He picked Lopez apart systematically, doing exactly what he was supposed to do to secure the unanimous decision and capture the junior welterweight title. That level of control against a fighter of Lopez's caliber is almost unheard of in modern boxing.
Hey, love the kid, talented kid. I mean, he kept his, kept his grit tonight, but it just wasn't enough. It was like I won't say a landslide, but it was just a difference in talent tonight.
Here's where things get absolutely insane. Right after the fight, while he's still catching his breath from dominating a world-class opponent, Stevenson starts calling out future opponents. He specifically urged Conor Benn to make a fight happen, highlighting that he's ready to compete at even higher weight classes and continue proving himself against the best fighters in the sport. His confidence was off the charts. This is a guy who just won a world title and he's already looking ahead to bigger challenges. Stevenson talked about maintaining his unbeaten record and solidifying his position as one of boxing's elite technicians. But Ben wasn't backing down from the challenge.
It looked like for a split moment that Teofimo was doing well when he's in the inside, just catching him in the inside, but when he was fighting from the outside, he was having trouble.
The back and forth between Stevenson and Ben after the fight had the crowd absolutely buzzing. Ben responded by taking shots at Stevenson's size, telling him he was too small and couldn't punch hard enough to keep him off balance. The trash talk was flying from both sides. Stevenson fired back confidently, claiming his skills were superior and urging promoters to get the contract signed immediately. Ben shot right back with pure bravado, insisting Stevenson couldn't avoid pressure fighters and even promising he'd beat him convincingly. This is the kind of heated exchange that sells pay-per-views and gets casual fans invested in boxing. Both fighters wanted that smoke right there on the spot.
He could have stayed a little bit more on the inside throughout the fight. It looked like that was probably a little bit going to get him closer to, being a more competitive fight.
I would only assume that they were prepping for this fight with that understanding, knowing that he is more of the assertive inside fighter. So the fact that he didn't push that notion tonight with aggression and urgency, you can tell that it was just, he just was going through the motion.
Well, where does Shakur Stevenson go from here? There's a lot of names right now. There's Devin Haney, the Ryan Garcia. We got Ryan with Barrios. We just got Conor Benn. There's Rolly Romero. Some around here. Who do you think will beat him? And Gervonta Davis, and he gets everything together. But who do you think would be another great matchup for Shakur Stevenson?
Hey, all of those guys that you just mentioned. A champion doesn't have to fight one person over the next, but as long as he can get them all in, that's what we want. We want him to fight the best. He is the best currently, and so we want him to fight all of the rest of the challenges, and so...
Hold up, did you catch what Coach Moses said about the potential Benn fight? Moses made it clear that as the reigning champion, Stevenson should have complete authority to set the terms of any future bout. Moses expressed a strong preference to host the fight in the United States, emphasizing the advantage of a home crowd and the importance of controlling every aspect of the environment. This is smart business. Why give up any advantage when you're the champion? Moses suggested this approach would allow Stevenson to dictate the pace and conditions while ensuring fairness and minimizing any undue advantages for Benn. But Moses also brought up something fascinating: rehydration clauses.
Man, he made it easy. I was saying, if Teo was to fight more on a back foot and throw punches when Shakur throws, that's the only time you're going to get Shakur. But Teo, he has a habit of getting out of position all the time. He'll double up his right hand, turn square, or turn southpaw. That's not going to work, bro. You're not going to take up enough space to touch Shakur. Shakur's reflexes and his countering was just keeping Teo at bay. It was an easy night from round one for him. Shakur got the dub.
Moses referenced that Benn had previously agreed to rehydration clauses in his fight against Chris Eubank Jr., and he thinks the same should apply here. For those who don't know, rehydration clauses prevent fighters from gaining massive size or weight advantages after the official weigh-in. It's designed to maintain competitive balance and avoid situations where one fighter can overwhelm the other purely through size rather than skill. Moses acknowledged that Benn is competent offensively, but he absolutely destroyed Benn's defensive abilities, suggesting that Stevenson's technical superiority would likely give him a decisive edge in the ring. That's not just coach talk. That's tactical analysis based on what we just witnessed.
Dude, man, there's always room for improvement. I think he had a lot of stuff he could have did, but he's so talented and gifted, man. You also got to trust what he's seeing in there. We on the outside, but I think he put on a tremendous performance, and obviously, the level he's at, you always look for things he could do better,
What did you see from the outside that he might be?
I mean, I'm just saying, I think it was a lot of body work and stuff like that he could have touched on, but again, he's in there, so he's seeing stuff, he's feeling the punches. We not. So you got to trust what he's seeing.
Teofimo just couldn't get going.
He put on he tried to get going. He just wasn't allowed to. So it's just the distance and range that Shakur has just perfected throughout the years, and then making him pay when he does that discourages him to not want to punch anymore. And I think he was out of answers in the first round. Honestly, I think he didn't really have any answers. When Teo starts doing little certain things with his hands and starts playing the clown game, he out of answers. He's down to just one shot. So Shakur just stayed focused, stayed locked in, and was at 4 divisions now? 26, 30, 35, 40?
Now here's the most telling reaction of all. Terence Crawford, arguably the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world right now, explained exactly why other elite fighters have been hesitant to step into the ring with Shakur Stevenson. According to Crawford, it's not about fear in the traditional sense. It's about recognition. These fighters recognize that Stevenson isn't just talented. He's exceptionally well-rounded with elite defense, precise timing, excellent distance control, and the ability to react instantly under pressure. Crawford pointed out that some people try to downplay Stevenson by calling him a runner or criticizing his knockout rate, but those are just desperate distractions from people who don't understand high-level boxing. Crawford stressed that Stevenson's combination of poise, rhythm, toughness, and punch placement makes him an absolute nightmare matchup for anyone in his weight class.
Shakur Stevenson has just put on a masterclass to defeat Teofimo Lopez. Give us your immediate reaction.
Well, I think he had a great performance tonight, and I think, Teo was a formidable opponent. Shakur's been looking for these here fights, these legacy fights, and I think this is just the beginning. So, the guys that come on, be honest here, I think will help him, embark on his legacy and, he get his just doing boxing. That's all he want, man, is a fair trade. He came out of amateur boxing, #1 in the world. Now he wants to go into professional boxing and become #1 in the world.
Andre Ward dropped some serious knowledge about what comes next for Stevenson's career. Ward made it clear that this performance, as dominant as it was, represents just one chapter in a much larger legacy that's still being written. Ward praised Stevenson's elite skill set, creativity, and adaptability, saying he has the boxing IQ, athleticism, and versatility to draw up any fight strategy he wants against any opponent. Rather than viewing Stevenson as a finished product, Ward suggested this commanding victory is simply the foundation for even bigger achievements down the road. Ward believes Stevenson has more major fights and opportunities ahead to prove himself as one of boxing's all-time greats. That's high praise from a Hall of Fame fighter.
Amazing night. I put the work in. I stayed disciplined throughout my camp. I was in tremendous shape. And Teo, he's a hell of a fighter, but I was the better man tonight. Yeah, I definitely did. I feel like.
So there you have it. Shakur Stevenson just delivered one of the most dominant world title performances in recent memory, shutting out a former undisputed champion over 12 rounds and leaving boxing legends speechless in the process. This victory captured a world title in a 4th division and demonstrated his ability to adapt, execute, and dominate under the brightest lights. We're not just talking about technical skill here. We're talking about mental composure, strategic brilliance, and the kind of complete performance that separates good fighters from all-time greats. And honestly, this feels like just the beginning. Here's my question for you, drop it in the comments. Is Shakur Stevenson already the best technical boxer in the sport today, or does he need to beat Conor Benn and other top names to prove it? If this breakdown helped you understand why everyone's calling this performance legendary, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell because the boxing world is about to get even more exciting. I'll see you in the next one.
So he tried to fight back. Yeah, I picked him apart. In the second round, I want to say that I told my corner, I said, I'm stronger than he is. And for sure, I heard him a couple of times. My jab, my left hand to the body, my left hand up top. No, there's no disappointment. It's boxing at the end of the day. I seen him go out there, and when I was about to stop him, he started fighting back a little bit. So, respect to him. He's a sharp fighter. He got a lot of knowledge, and he did what he did to survive. I've been told you this. I told you this a minute ago. I said he's not on my level, and I proved it.
But let's dig deeper into what this performance actually revealed about the current state of boxing at the elite level. Because what happened Saturday night wasn't just about Stevenson beating Lopez. It was about a complete paradigm shift in how we evaluate modern boxing talent. Think about this for a second. We just watched a fighter completely neutralize every single weapon in his opponent's arsenal while making it look absolutely effortless. That's not just skill, that's mastery. And the implications go way beyond this single fight.
When we saw Conor Benn in the ring with you and the idea of you two fighting, for British fans, it would come as a bit of a curveball. You now have 4 different weight world titles, and Conor's not boxed for a world title. Yeah, what's going on between you two? Why is that a fight that you like?
I'm into big fights. I like big fights. I like big money fights. I like proving that I'm the best, and I like doing things that people say I can't do. There's a lot of people that will say that I'm too little for Conor Benn, and I can't do it. So it makes for a tremendous fight.
And Eddie mentioned that there's quite a few DMs go back and forth between you two. Is it all amicable? Is there a bit of aggro going on?
It's gonna be a good beef. I like the beef. I like the story behind it, and it's a tremendous fight.
Here's what's absolutely mind-blowing about Stevenson's performance. He didn't just win rounds. He systematically erased Teofimo Lopez's confidence in real time. Watch the fight back and pay attention to Lopez's body language as the rounds progress. In the early rounds, Lopez was still trying to impose his will, still believing he could turn the tide with one big shot. By round 6, you could see the frustration building. By round 9, Lopez looked completely lost, like he was fighting a ghost. That's psychological warfare at the highest level, and it's something you can't teach. Stevenson didn't break Lopez physically. He broke him mentally by making every single thing Lopez tried to do look futile.
Phenomenal fighter, boring, but he's a future pound for pound great, you know what I mean? He's a good fighter, but boring.
Were you surprised at all that the cards were what they were and that it was
I was surprised he made the fight look as easy as he did. Very surprised. Credit to him.
What do you think about his call out, Conor?
He can get it. You think I'm worried? Yeah, he will know he's been in a fight. He'll go home sore and broken. He'll know he's been in a fight.
Are you willing to agree to that rehydration clause?
He ain't making excuses already. If you want to come up with the big boys, come up with the big boys.
So how does the fight happen? Because he's too small otherwise.
Well, that's down to him. But don't be talking shit in the ring and then want to come up with something.
Thank you, Conor.
The technical breakdown of this fight is absolutely fascinating when you really analyze what happened. Stevenson's footwork wasn't just good, it was surgical. He was constantly creating angles that made it impossible for Lopez to set his feet and generate power. Every time Lopez thought he had Stevenson trapped, Shakur would slide just out of range and counter with precision shots that accumulated damage over time. The ring generalship was phenomenal. Stevenson controlled the center when he needed to, moved to the outside when it benefited him, and used every inch of that ring like it was his personal canvas. This is boxing at its purest form, using intelligence and technique to completely dominate a physically gifted opponent.
Would you like to see Shakur campaign up moving forward? He's flirted with going back to 135. The Conor Ben fight's been talked about a lot tonight.
Unfinished business at 135, and the 130 Conor Ben and all that. Those things is things that he wants. See, the one thing is Shakur will take on any task. He don't like a challenge. He loves a challenge. So anybody challenge him, he can get it. We're lucky he didn't have to fight Anthony Joshua.
What's even more impressive is how Stevenson adapted his strategy throughout the fight based on what Lopez was showing him. In the early rounds, when Lopez was still aggressive and trying to pressure, Stevenson used more lateral movement and counter-punching. As Lopez became more hesitant and started second-guessing himself, Stevenson began sitting down on his shots more and taking control of exchanges. By the championship rounds, when Lopez was desperate and swinging wildly, Stevenson switched to pure boxing mode, staying safe, picking his spots, and cruising to victory. That kind of in-fight adjustment requires an incredibly high boxing IQ and the confidence to execute different game plans on the fly.
Right, I mean, it kind of builds up something, but that's another weight class, right? Another 7 pounds.
Another weight class, but
Now let's talk about what this means for the entire junior welterweight division, because everything just got turned upside down. Before Saturday night, there were legitimate questions about who the real king of 140 pounds was. You had Ryan Garcia making noise, Devin Haney moving up from lightweight, Tank Davis always lurking as a potential threat, and several other contenders positioning themselves for big fights. After watching Stevenson completely dismantle a former undisputed champion, those conversations just got a lot more clear. Stevenson didn't just win a title, he established himself as the man to beat in one of boxing's most competitive weight classes.
Just now, he came up there with the aspect like he's a really big guy, but he's not a really big guy, so I don't want people to think he got so much power and he's so strong, He's not no killer, you see him? Seem like a killer to you? Not to me, so.
The ripple effects of this performance are already being felt throughout the boxing world. Promoters are scrambling to figure out how to position their fighters against Stevenson. Some are probably looking for ways to avoid him entirely, while others are calculating whether their guys have any stylistic advantages that could give them a chance. But here's the brutal truth, after watching what happened to Lopez, who's going to be confident about their chances against Stevenson. Lopez had everything you'd want in a fighter trying to beat Stevenson. He had power, he had experience at the highest level, he had championship pedigree, and he had the physical tools to potentially cause problems. None of it mattered.
Fighters didn't want to take the chance to step in the ring with this fighter. He's great. A lot of people started saying, oh, he's a runner, he's this, he's that. Just to detour people from being excited to see him fight because he's not knocking people out and all that crazy stuff. But they would see why people really don't want to get in the ring with him come tomorrow.
I know you've shared the ring with him sparring plenty of times. What makes Shakur Stevenson great? What makes him different? What makes him, I don't want to say an ilk of yourself, but in the same kind of era, the Bud Crawford era, he's got a Shakur Stevenson era coming.
Everything. the offense, the defense, the poise, the rhythm, the distance, the timing, the punch placement, the react time. Like, I can go on and on. You know, the toughness, the grit, the grind. Like.
Let's address the elephant in the room about Stevenson's knockout power, because this is where casual fans and hardcore boxing enthusiasts sometimes disagree. Critics love to point out that Stevenson doesn't score spectacular knockouts, as if that somehow diminishes his ability as a fighter. But what those critics are missing is that knockouts aren't always the goal for elite technical boxers. Stevenson's power isn't about putting people to sleep with one shot. It's about accumulating damage systematically and breaking down opponents over time. Watch how Lopez looked in the later rounds. He was hurt, he was tired, and he was completely demoralized. That's a different kind of knockout, a psychological and physical breakdown that's just as devastating as any highlight reel finish.
We don't know. We don't know. He's not done yet. You know, he's not done yet. He's a great for sure. How great, we're gonna see. You know, he got a lot. He can box as long as he wants to box because he don't take punishment, and he's a master boxer. You know what I mean? So, just excited for him, man. Happy for him, man. You know, it's hard for me to see my brothers fight when I'm not fighting. That's harder to me than to actually fight because I can't help it. So I'm just happy it's over, man. I'm happy he got the win and get home to them babies, get that check.
Last one from me. He's in there in the ring with Conor Ben. Do you like that fight for sure?
Absolutely, yeah.
How do you think that one goes?
Conor's always dangerous. He's gonna come forward, but man, it's gonna look a lot like that. And there's no disrespect to Conor Ben. You know, I respect what he does and how he does it, but the skill set, bro, is different. They say them boxers boring, man. Why they be saying that? They say the boxers boring, but the boxers they can deal with any style though.
The comparison to other elite technical boxers throughout history is absolutely fascinating when you look at Stevenson's skill set. You can see elements of Floyd Mayweather's defensive mastery, touches of Pernell Whitaker's elusive movement, hints of Andre Ward's ring intelligence, and flashes of Sugar Ray Leonard's adaptability. But Stevenson isn't copying any of these fighters. He's synthesizing their best attributes into his own unique style. That's what separates good fighters from potential all-time greats. Anyone can mimic techniques, but it takes special talent to blend different approaches into something completely your own.
19, I think, to 109 with scorecard, so basically like 11 rounds to 1. What did you think about the outcome and the fact that he was able to win so dominantly?
One, shout out to New York.
Here's something that's getting overlooked in all the post-fight analysis: the conditioning aspect of Stevenson's performance. Maintaining that level of movement, precision, and focus for 12 straight rounds against a world-class opponent requires incredible physical and mental preparation. Lopez is known for his conditioning and his ability to maintain pressure throughout fights, but Stevenson looked fresher in round 12 than Lopez looked in round 6. That's not an accident. That's the result of meticulous preparation and a training regimen that's designed to peak at exactly the right moment. When you combine elite technique with superior conditioning, you get performances like what we witnessed Saturday night.
I was crying, yo. So shout out to him. He signed every time he come out to see his story, see how much he done overcame everything. Now he get his round knockout, looking good against Jermaine Ortiz. Wonderful. Now we got the main event with Shakur, and I knew that was gonna happen. Everybody be talking all that.
The international implications of this victory are huge for American boxing as well. For years, we've heard about how American fighters were falling behind technically compared to their counterparts from other countries. Critics pointed to the amateur system, the focus on entertainment over fundamentals, and various other factors that were supposedly holding back American boxing talent. Stevenson's performance was a direct refutation of that narrative. This was American boxing at its finest, technically sound, strategically brilliant, and executed with the kind of precision that would make any trainer in any country proud.
Boxing. and like I told y'all, we was gonna see a little bit of athleticism, but we was gonna see Shakur be using his jab, going to the body, and we saw blood today. Shakur did great today. Only thing I can ask for is stoppage. I can't ask for nothing.
What's particularly interesting is how this victory positions Stevenson for potential super fights down the road. The boxing world loves unification bouts and pound-for-pound discussions, and Stevenson just put himself squarely in both conversations. With his technical skills, undefeated record, and now a dominant world title performance, he's exactly the kind of fighter that networks and promoters want to build major events around. But more importantly, he's proven that he can deliver in the biggest moments. There's a difference between looking good against moderate competition and dominating world-class opponents when everything is on the line. The psychological impact on future opponents cannot be understated either. Every fighter who might potentially face Stevenson just watched 12 rounds of tape showing exactly what happens when you step into the ring with him. That's both a blessing and a curse for Stevenson's career. It's a blessing because it establishes his dominance and proves his elite status. But it's potentially a curse because it might make it harder to secure the biggest fights if other top fighters decide the risk-reward ratio isn't worth it. We've seen this happen with other technically superior fighters throughout boxing history. Sometimes being too good can actually limit your opportunities. But based on everything we're hearing from Stevenson and his team, they're not worried about anyone avoiding them. They're actively seeking out the biggest names and the toughest challenges available. That's the mindset of a fighter who believes in his abilities and wants to test himself against the absolute best competition the sport has to offer. And honestly, after watching Saturday night's performance, it's hard to argue with that confidence. When you can make a former undisputed champion look completely outclassed for 36 straight minutes, you've earned the right to call out anyone you want.